Hello and welcome to Spirit Forest. I talk a lot about fire bans on my channel, so I decided what I was going to do is talk a little bit about what a fire ban is and what it means. So stay tuned. I want to thank you for clicking on my video. I appreciate that. I am located in Colorado. And in Colorado, we've had fire bans the majority of the year in the area that I am in. I've had a fire ban since February of this year, and it is now July. And I wanted to talk a little bit about fire bans because on my channel I post a lot of videos, about 2 videos a week about backpacking and camping. Rox, come here. In case you're wondering, that's not a bear with a large tail. This is my Rottweiler dog that joins me in my adventures. You might be hearing him walk around. Okay, now go play. Go play. Go on. So, okay, Rex, go play. Go on. Go on. Do it. Go explore again. Go on. Go, buddy. Okay, Okay, like I said, I've been in a fire ban since February. This is my bushcraft shelter here that I stayed in the winter time. I was not able to have a fire during that time, and in fact, since I built this bushcraft shelter, which I think was in January is when I started it, I've only been able to have one fire here. And I'm pointing down. I'm not sure if you can see there's a little fire pit here, but I'm going to go over that as well here shortly. I've only been able to have one fire here. In fact, since in 2018 so far, I've only had one or 2 days that I've been able to have fire here in Colorado. So I just wanted to mention it because I do get a lot of comments from subscribers regarding my fire, or why don't you just make fire, or you have plenty of firewood. Well, I do. I mean, if you guys watch my channel, I got plenty of firewood. In fact, what I'll do is I'll span where I'm sitting and you can see how much firewood I have. I just can't burn it. So I have a lot of dead aspen and some dead spruce in my area. It is just sitting here. So what I've done recently, I've chipped a lot of my slash on the ground to help prevent if a forest fire were to come through. It kind of lessens my risk. However, I do have so much dead wood here, it probably won't make that much of a difference. But okay, regarding fire ban, and so you notice I'm carrying a notebook, and I rarely carry notebooks on my channel. But I did print off the actual rules for a fire ban, and I will link to it below. If I forget to link to it, just let me know. But these are what a fire ban is and the restrictions of a fire ban. The reason why I printed it, because there's a lot of, again, more comments saying, well, you could do this or you could do that. Well, I can't, I can't do that. Even if it is 20 degrees and snowing outside, I cannot make a fire. So I printed these out, and I'm not going to read it to you word by word, just because, well, you guys know how to read, and I don't like watching videos of watching people read. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview and kind of my take on a fire ban here in Colorado. Now, currently, you can't smell it, but there is a fire going on right now. It is about 30 miles south of me. There's like a haze in the air. Everything has kind of like this yellowish tint to it. That fire was started by lightning. Actually, the majority of the fires here in Colorado are not started by human. They're started by lightning. And I got that information from this. I went to some event, and the National Forest Service was there, and it was one of their questions where you can win a prize or something like that. And I said lightning, and they're like, "You're right, you're one of the first ones." And I was like, yeah, lightning starts most of the fires here in Colorado. Okay, so let's go over the fire ban. And I also want to go over the fire pits that I have on my land. Again, if you're not used to my channel, I have 2 acres here. I live here in the summertime. I live in a really large canvas tent. It's 14 feet by 16 feet. So again, I live here in the summer. In the wintertime, it's really hard to live here and not be able to have a fire, and my tent won't allow for all the snow load that we get here in Colorado. So I talk about it a lot in my other videos. If you're interested, check out those playlists. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this sentence I'm going to read. What are fire restrictions? Why do we have fire restrictions? Fire restrictions help land management agencies reduce the fire risk and preventing wildfires during periods of high extreme fire danger. So, again, we don't want a human to start a fire, so we try to do as much as we can to avoid that. Lightning, you really can't avoid that, but there's some things that you can do on your land to pick up your slash and all your dead wood on the ground. There are 2 stages to a fire ban. There's a stage 1 fire ban and a stage 2 fire ban. Currently, right now, I'm in a stage 2 fire ban. That might change to a stage 1. When I drive into my community, and when you drive into a lot of wilderness areas, you'll see these signs, and the signs will say fire ban on it. Usually it's this really red, and in fact, I've seen it change in multiple areas. Some of them have Smokey the Bear. Smokey the Bear was like my hero when I was a kid, but they'd have Smokey the Bear carrying a sign saying no open fires, and some of them will even say stage 2 fire ban. Some of them just say fire ban. Some of them will actually just have a little gauge on it that will range from high to low to high to extreme. Currently, right now, I'm at extreme. I've seen it at medium. I've never seen it at low here. I have been here for 7 days straight, and we haven't got one little bit. I think it drizzled just a little bit of snow, of rain, but that was it. Okay, let's talk about a stage 1 fire restrictions. Okay, you are not allowed to build, maintain, attend, or use a campfire, or a stove fire. A stove fire is one of those, you see those little metal boxes where you put a bunch of sticks in it, and then you can put your pot on top of it. Okay, things that you can do in a stage 1 fire ban is that if you are in a developed recreational site that has those fire rings around it, you could tell, and it has 20 feet around that, it has a bunch of rocks around it, you could make a fire in those areas. I don't, because there is kind of this gray area of really what is defined as a recreational area. When you get into your wilderness area, you can always call the local ranger station and find out if you can make a fire that time. That is probably the safest route to do, because the last thing you want to do is, first of all, start a fire, and then second, do it illegally as well. Okay, so again, I was talking about stage 1. When you're smoking, there's a lot of people that smoke. I'm not a smoker, but there's a lot of people that smoke. You cannot smoke outside. You got to smoke inside an enclosed car, which I'm guessing is not very fun for those smokers, but no smoking. So even on my classes here, I teach wilderness skills. I say no smoking at all on my land. You can use a chainsaw, but you can't use one without a USDA or SAA approved spark arrestator. Most of the chainsaws already have that, so when I use my chainsaw here, basically I have a fire extinguisher nearby, and you also have to have a shovel nearby. Now, I don't know about the shovel, but you got to have a shovel nearby, and you have to have a fire extinguisher nearby if you're going to be using a chainsaw. So just keep that in mind. No welding. I think that's probably obvious why you wouldn't want to be welding, but there's no welding. And in a campfire situation, in my channel, I do a lot of camping and stuff that I'm not welding, so that doesn't really pertain to me. And I do chainsaw stuff, but I have now 2 fire extinguishers here, and I have a shovel nearby. I don't carry around a shovel, and I'll be honest with you, I don't carry around a shovel, but I do have the fire extinguisher nearby. Using explosives, so there's no explosives that you can use. Now there's There's ways around doing the fire in a stage 1. There are some exceptions, but basically the exceptions have to be written approval. And again, it's a lot of writing, you guys. I'm not going to read all this, so I'm just giving you kind of an overview. But the only exception is that you can have a permit from the Forest Service to create a fire. You know, I've been in the summertime. It's not that big of a deal here. You can, you got good enough sleeping bag. You can stay warm. In the wintertime, it gets a little tough. So just make sure you call your Forest Service ranger station if you would like to make a fire and kind of talk to them about what is legal in that area. Okay, are we ready for stage 2 fire ban, which is what I am in currently? I cannot make a fire unless I have a on and off switch. That's pretty much the legit of it. If you can turn it off, you can use it. If you cannot turn it off, it doesn't have an on-off switch, you cannot use it. Now, I was rafting in June, and I want to give you an example. We were in a stage 2 fire ban during that rafting trip, and I had a couple campers just a couple campsites down, and they were having a fire. And of course, here I am, I'm walking over there being like, we're in a stage 2 fire ban, and you can see they had a really big fire going too. But what they had, and which was really cool, the guy was really nice, because I came over there kind of, I don't know, stomping my feet a little bit. He was really nice, super nice. So he says, oh no, this is a propane fire. And I was like, oh, and it looked just like a real fire, and it produced a lot of heat. I've had propane fire pits before, and I just don't get a lot of heat from it, so I just decide not to use them. He bought his on Amazon, and he says, hey, I'm having all my friends coming out here camping. We can't have a fire in Colorado. So he's like, it's just part of camping. So he went out and bought this propane thing. He said it was like $100, or a propane fire pit. It's like $100, and he said it's so worth it. I saw them, they were making s'mores and stuff on it. It was a lot of fun. But that was the first time I've ever seen one really efficient. And in fact, if I can get a chance, I'm going to go to my neighbor's house later today. He actually has that exact same one, and I want to show you guys what it looks like. Those are legal. So if you're doing a lot of car camping, that's actually, and you have like a truck or you got a lot of space in your car, those are pretty cool. Go ahead and bring one of those. That is legit. You can use those. Again, it has an off switch. All the stuff in stage 1 has the same rules from stage 2, except again, in the designated campsites where the fire rings and stuff, you can't have a fire there. So there is no fire there. But I don't usually have a fire anyways unless I'm calling the ranger station. There is a lot of, and again, this is all word of mouth, and I've heard a lot, is like it's $1,000 fine for having a fire and possible jail time. So that is something that makes me not want to have a fire, However, I do have ways to have a fire here. I do have a tent, and inside my tent I do have a stove, and the stove at the top is legal. I did call the fire department, and the fire department said that is legal in a fire ban for me to create a fire out of my tent stove. I have not. I created one little fire, and it was very tiny right when I put up the stove. But we have been in extreme dry condition since my tent has been up, and so therefore I have not made a fire. It's been cold at night. It gets down in the 40s at night, so we just get in our sleeping bags. If it were pouring rain out, I would use my tent stove, but honestly, I'm not going to use it until we get a lot more moisture here. I don't want to be the one to burn down Spirit Forest, let alone burn down this entire community. That is not something that I need for just staying warm one night. I have plenty of gear and good enough gear that I can stay warm. But I'm hoping, a lot of times in August and September ends up being pretty wet months here in Colorado. So I'm hoping that the fire ban will be released, and when it does, you guys will see me making a bunch of fire. I want to be able to cook over the fire. I want to be able to, if the people that are taking my classes, you know, they'll be able to come out here when there's not a fire ban and practice their fire skills as well. And as I mentioned before, I do want to kind of beef up my campfires and the reason campfire pits. And one of the reasons is I've gone to a couple neighbors here and their fire pits are legit, like they're the bomb. You know, mine is like you would see a campfire out in the wilderness, which I like that. Don't get me wrong, I really like that, and I like that kind of a look to it. But I do need to be very protective because there are houses in the area, and so I'm going to be looking into getting a nice metal ring around my fire pits. I'm going to get some rocks or something like that. I'm not sure if I can afford to buy a bunch of rocks this year, but I might end up doing it next year maybe. We'll see how it goes. But I would like to get some rocks around the fire pits, and so I'm really clear. And the fires that I build in my land are really small. Even when I teach my class, I try to challenge them to make the smallest fire and keep it going. I don't make really big fires. I'm not a bonfire type person. I keep them very small, controlled fires. So this is my little fire pit here. I know I don't have a lot of rocks here, but when we put this together, it was actually a lot of snow on the ground and all the rocks were frozen to the ground in other areas, and I was not able to release them. So this is kind of a partially built fire pit. And again, when I had this fire before, there was a bunch of snow all over here. So I wasn't even able to dig into the ground at all because the ground was frozen. So I have a metal, just like a little metal square here that kind of goes around it. Some of my fire pits are actually square, not round, but not that that matters. But so that way the embers don't travel underneath the ground and travel throughout the property. You'll see how much dead wood that I have on my property. I am in the process of trying to maintain my property as much as I can, but you'll see there's a lot of wood here that I need to get rid of. I do like how, you know, it makes my little spirit forest alive by having the dead wood on the ground. So like if you see over here with the moss, it makes it a very healthy forest by having some dead wood on the ground. But I just have way too much and I need to control it a little bit more. Okay, we're gonna head on over to my other fire pit. This is the one I use the most. This one again, I've only been able to use one time. I do plan on improving them, but there's no need to improve a fire pit if there's a fire ban. I got other things I want to do. And I got other projects, and I'm backpacking a lot this summer. And so I'm not at the property as much as I was last summer to work on a lot of these. So we're heading our way over to the other fire pit. You'll hear my daughters in the background. They're here for 10 days. And in case you're wondering who that voice is, that is my daughters. Okay, here's my other fire pit. I do have that metal square inside this one as well. Again, I really practice and try to teach creating small controlled fires. It is actually really hard to create a small fire, harder to create a small fire than it is to create a large fire. Now I have a video of me building this. What I did is I cut all the grass and all the, there's like this, like pine needles and stuff like that here. I took all that out. Put it to the side, and then I put road base. So currently we now have road base going around here. So it's basically sand and rock. This was done last year. So we have, again, the majority of our fires here, and what I do, the reason why, if you notice, the fire is kind of, or the fire pit there is kind of cut in half because I have fire challenges. I've had some adults out here. It's a lot of fun. you know, who can start a fire first using a fire rod. Just kind of makes it a little bit more fun than just sitting around a campfire. And again, we focus on small fires here. And we've made some s'mores. I've made steaks here. I really miss cooking over the fire. So in this case, and again, I'm just going to show you my neighbor's fire pit. And I think I can only show you one because the other ones, they're not there, and I don't feel like trespassing on their land to take a picture of their fire pit. But you'll see that theirs is a lot more prepared than mine. Mine looks like one you would see out in the wilderness. Well, that's what I'm used to. You know what I mean? I'm not used to creating these campfires from designated campgrounds and stuff like that. I'm used to being in the wilderness. So I'm gonna get a fire ring. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. This one might be okay. I probably just need some more rocks around it because I do like the double fire. I just do. I like that. I like that feel to it. The other one, I think I might get the metal ring. I don't know. We'll see. Those are kind of expensive too, so I might just have to do one, but we'll see. Again, I'm in a fire ban, but I did wanted to talk about the fire bans and kind of tell you the reason why I don't make a lot of fires here, and because I do get a lot of questions on that. So I want to thank you guys for watching my video. I am going to head on back to my tent to see what my girls are doing. You know, if you like the wilderness, you like outdoor, you like adventure, every once in a while I like to teach a little things on my videos, but most of it's kind of like a vlog kind of format. I just kind of take you hiking with me, and you know, I'm living in this tent over here that you can see. Actually, let me get back over here. I live in this nice, beautiful tent in the summertime, and I video some of that as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.